Another day and another new big game patch for the Nintendo Switch 2, this time for the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. So, yes, Bethesda has finally dropped a Switch 2 upgrade for this game. And in this video, I'm going to break down all the great things they've added in the new patch to improve the experience on the Switch 2. But if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe if you enjoy the content. And let's just jump right into this new patch, patch 1.2 and what it's bringing to this game, again, on the Nintendo Switch 2. So, first of all, the big thing to talk about right out of the gate is they finally added a performance mode, and you can now play Skyrim on a Nintendo console at 60 frames per second. And this has been a long time coming. When Skyrim first released on the Switch, I think a lot of people, myself were included, were just happy to be able to get this game on the Switch to be able to play it on the go. But it was riddled with issues. The frame rate wasn't great. There were drops, there were bugs, and it really wasn't a great launch, in my opinion. But a lot of that has changed. There's been a lot of updates since the launch, and this new update continues to improve the game. So, again, big thing is we got 60 frames per second. And on top of that, they've also fixed more bugs in the game. So, numerous bug fixes, numerous areas where the game would crash are now fixed. And a lot of people will know that, Skyrim had a lot of issues, a lot of problems on the Switch and the Switch 2. But we can hope with this new patch, a lot of those issues have been resolved. And that is what Bethesda is saying. And on top of that, they've also fixed a lot of areas in the game where there were frame rate drops. So just a lot of quality of life improvements finally coming to Skyrim on the Switch 2. And it's kind of interesting to celebrate, 60 frames per second and all these improvements for such an old game, but it really is a great game. And being able to play this on the go on the Switch 2, while you're traveling on an airplane, it's a great game for that case. So I picked this up actually quite a while ago, but I never actually played it on the Switch. So I picked it up with a plan to get to it, but I've played this game tons on both the PC and my PS5. So just great to have it as an option to play on the Switch. And now with the new patch, I'm really going to try this out, really going to enjoy it, I think, on the Switch too. Now, I want to add that the patch is free. So if you've got Skyrim for your Switch, you can download this new patch for free and get all those great Switch 2 improvements. But there is one caveat you should know, which is that you do need to have the Skyrim Anniversary Edition. So if you just have the base game here, like myself, you're not going to be able to download that patch. You do need to have the Anniversary Edition, which I think is like something like 15 or 20 bucks to download on the eStore. And then you'll get the latest Switch 2 patch that will bring all the improvements I've talked about. So 60 frames per second, bug fixes, you know, improvement in frame rate drops, all those kind of things. So I'm really starting to see a trend here. In my last video last week, I talked about the recent Switch 2 upgrade patch for the Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 collection. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out. But we're seeing a lot of Switch 1 games getting free Switch 2 updates. And that's the part I want to emphasize here is that it's really great to see developers giving free updates, free upgrades for the Switch 2 because let's be honest, the Switch 2 is doing a lot of what we wanted with the Switch 1, right? A lot of games didn't play up to par on the Switch 1. There were graphics issues, there were frame rate issues, and Nintendo's always trying to play catch up, with the latest games, with the latest standards. And we're still continuing to see that. But any improvements, I think, we should give a round of applause for even for old games such as Skyrim, because these are great games. There are people that never played these games. And for them, it's great that they're going to get a better experience if they decide to play these games on the Switch too. But coming back to the trend, a lot of developers are starting to do this. And I think we're going to continue to see this, right? We're going to continue to see patches come out for Switch games on the Switch 2, which improve the frame rates, improve the graphics, add new textures, improve the quality of the game in general. And I'm all for that because as you can see, I've got a little Switch collection going back there. Nothing in the size compared to some of you guys watching, I'm sure, but it's growing and I really do enjoy the Switch and I really do enjoy playing these games on my Switch too. So I want to see more patches come. I would love to see a Switch 2 patch come for Bloodstained. That's a game I really want to see a Switch 2 patch for because it had a lot of issues as well on the Switch 1. But again, we're talking about a really old game here. 60 frames per second, that's great, but I really want to see how the Oblivion remastered looks like on the Switch 2. So that's a game that they said is going to be released in 2026 for the Switch 2. I don't think we actually have a release date for that game, but that's going to be a real test for the Switch 2. How can it handle a modern game, a modern remaster on the Switch 2 hardware? And I've got high hopes for it. I mean, there's no way it's going to be running at 60 frames per second, but I do think it could be a great port or a good port. But fingers crossed, we don't know. The Final Fantasy VII Remake port was awesome and looked amazing on the Switch 2. But we're going to really see what the Switch 2 can do when some of these newer games come out, the new Resident Evil, Oblivion Remastered, Indiana Jones. A lot of big games going to be coming out this year for the Switch 2. So we're going to see what it can do. But just wanted to come on, talk about the new Skyrim 1.2 patch, and let you know if you've got this game, if you don't have this game, now is a great time to pick it up, give it a try. You're going to be having a much better experience than all the early adopters, all the people who purchased this game on day one or in the first year or two of launch on the Switch, because there's just been so many patches rolled out, so many improvements made. I think it's finally at a somewhat quality level where it should be. And I mean, to be honest, it should have been there from day one, let's be honest. But we'll take it when we can get it. So shout out to Bethesda for giving a free upgrade, a free patch for this game. And that's it. Just wanted to break the news to you and hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day.